again?
Let's talk about Rayman 2. Oh boy, Rayman 2 is one odd duck. It was originally going to be another side-scroller like the first game, but was scrapped in favor of a 3D platformer using Ubisoft's shiny new, Architecture Commune de Programmation Engine. Unity, Godot, Unreal, IdTech. Architecture Commune de Programmation. What the hell's wrong with you French people? The team needed practice with the engine, so they first cut their teeth on Tonic Trouble and released it in 1999 on the birthplace of 3D platformers, the Nintendo 64. It's kind of like how Catherine was made so Atlas could get experience working with next-gen hardware before committing to Persona 5. I like that. Instead of a training boot camp where nobody's getting creative and the company isn't making money, just make a game. The only difference here is that Catherine was a great game. Try out Tonic Trouble for yourself, and I bet the first words out of your mouth will be, "Yup, this sure feels like a Rayman 2 prototype." Ugh. Soon after, Rayman 2 would squirt into our hands on the same system with some stellar box art. Looks like he just Sonic dashed right through that pirate ship. Rayman's mouth is open on the PAL Regions box for some reason. Oh, you think that's weird? We're only scratching the surface of strange, arbitrary differences between releases. Despite the N64's limited hardware forcing the visuals and sound to take a hit, Rayman 2 reviewed extremely well on the system. You spend some time with this game on the N64 and it quickly becomes clear that it was made for the thing. Controls like a dream, rock solid frame rate most of the time, and it just feels good. IGN's Brandon Justice even recommended that players forget about Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, and Crash Bandicoot in favor of Rayman. Look, I like this game as much as the next guy, but come on, Brandon. Really? You can't spell ignorant without IGN. Oh, he was fired! Now, in any other universe, Rayman 2 would be remembered as that really solid N64 game, and that would be it. However,
this is indeed a disturbing universe.
The game ended up releasing, well, just about everywhere else. Windows, PlayStation, Game Boy Color, Dreamcast, PS2, and even portably on iOS, the DS, and 3DS. Rayman 2 is the everywhere game, and unlike how multi-platform ports of today are the same with varying levels of performance, most of these ports are substantially different, often in bizarre ways. Lum placement is all over the place, swimming controls are different, swinging physics are different, Rayman's attack, enemy placement, and numbers, the color of the laser barriers. Playing all of these ports has been like experiencing the developer's visions if they were all from different universes. The Game Boy Color version is the low-hanging fruit in this case. You can count it as being worth taking seriously if you want, just don't expect to get invited to any parties. The PC port looked like my best bet for quality, so I bought it for a few bucks on GOG, downloaded Rayman Control Panel, installed a few essential mods, and prepared to have a good old time. Well, looks like I'm out $3. No matter what I tried, I could not get past this damn screen. It's like the worst demo ever. You sit through a 4-minute cutscene and get to jump around in a jail cell while Glowbox does stuff. Sitting through this unskippable intro 15 times to see if I fixed the problem was not how I wanted to spend my Friday evening. I could be sniffing glue right now! So with PC a no-go, I tried out Rayman 2 Revolution on PS2. A port so different, it could debatably be called a remake. Yes! Every other port has a level select set in this dreamlike space, with the Dreamcast port even switching it up with one in the style of Crash Bandicoot. But Revolution has a whole new world to explore that acts as a level hub. It's nice and all, but is it really necessary? It's like Sonic Unleashed forcing you to run around talking to people in between levels. I much preferred the last gen port on PS2 just giving me a select screen. At least visiting a level once adds a portal to a more traditional level hub, and you do get some new voice acting and cutscenes.
Hey you, come back here, I got something to tell you.
The biggest change is instead of lums being tied to progression, they're now used to power up Rayman. But most of the upgrades are things that he could already do in other ports, like projectile ricochets and a faster fire rate. I mean this 100% unironically. The best thing about this port is paying 50 lums to be able to run while carrying something. Solid port. However, it's not the one I went with, and neither is this one. Come hell or high water, Ubisoft was going to make Rayman 2 work on this machine. I liked it well enough as a kid, but that's probably because I was blissfully unaware of how lackluster the PS1 port is compared to the others. It may have that CD quality soundtrack I like so much, but that's a small consolation prize when you realize that a fair chunk of the game is missing. Most levels are cut short, rearranged, or redesigned. For what? To make room for the Hollywood level voice acting?
Oh, Rayman.
Rayman? As in, everybody loves? It's a little hard to explain, but Rayman doesn't feel as good to control here. There's more build up till he reaches full speed, and fine adjustments are a problem. It makes him feel more finicky, and it's part of what makes this the hardest port out of the bunch. In the other games, the second Mask Temple ends without a boss fight, but here you fight a ninja pirate robot. The sequence where you get chased down by Mike Wazowski is way harder. This guy's got no mercy. Mess up once, and you're getting chomped and sent back to the start. This shell riding segment sticks another one on you in the middle of the track, and you got a serpentine to avoid it. And wouldn't you know it, the other ports will let you press square to speed up, but not this one. The Cave of Bad Dreams is handled all wrong in this port. First, Clark calls it the Kingdom of the Dead.
It's hidden in the Kingdom of the Dead.
Nope, not what it's called. Especially since it's called the Cave of Bad Dreams on the level select. That's another thing, you just select it. Come on, every Rayman 2 fan knows you go back to the Marshes of Awakening and take a side path at the beginning, where it's made clear that this whole level takes place in Rayman's mind. But here, you just get dropped in, no introduction to Mike at all, which I guess makes his sudden appearance later in the level a little more shocking, is what I would say if...
Your point ends here!
You have defeated me. My treasure belongs to you.
What were they thinking giving him a voice like that? They just took one of the Teensy's voice actors and said, here, sound as scary as you can. In every other port, he sounds way more appropriate.
My treasure is yours. Take whatever you want.
Mike Wazowski!
The weirdest thing is that this is the only port that has these little blue dudes from the first game as enemies. You see what I mean about different universes? Why aren't these in the other games? On a side note, outside of MAME, this is the only game that has crashed my RetroArch. Multiple times. This port is cursed. Well, at least some copies of it came with a Rayman beach ball, no doubt in an attempt to advertise to random beachgoers. Yeah, this game was marketed hard by Ubisoft. Ads were all over the place, from harassing some poor guy named Ray to a promotion with Skechers.
Das Warten hat begonnen! Du wirst aufwin! Das Leben ist ein Game!
And then there's this ad from the UK that, oh god damn it! I am confused and not horny!
Yes!
The PlayStation may be my home skillet biscuit, but when it comes to Rayman 2, I gotta give the W to the Dreamcast. I do not own a Dreamcast. Aw man, the Dreamcast port. Barring the PC version, this is the cream of the crop right here. The CD quality soundtrack of the PS1, the fluid gameplay and content of the N64, and the buttery smooth frame rate of the Dreamcast. Why did this thing fail again? It also emulates really well with Flycast. Barely any input lag and no visual hiccups that I noticed. If you run into the same headache I did with the PC port, the Dreamcast is as good as you can get, and that's pretty dang good.
Oh, you're that. No problem.
The story's gotten just a bit more ambitious since the first game. Instead of the totally menacing and memorable Mr. Dark, now it's Captain Razorbeard and his horde of robot pirates, plunging the land into an age of industrialization and capturing just a gratuitous amount of slaves. Just nobody needs that many slaves. This includes our hero, who busts out with the help of friend and sexual tyrannosaur, Glowbox. That last part's not a joke. The subtitle of The Great Escape comes from Rayman needing to free his people from the pirate's mothership by enlisting the aid of Polycus, who needs 4 masks to awaken. There was just something about video games and masks back in the day, let me tell you. I guess we all wear masks, if you think about it. Now, I believe in my Rayman Origins video, I said something along the lines of, because this game is easier than a romp through spring breeze. Well, it's not. I was a dipshit who'd only played through a bit of the game for some footage. Turns out there is a healthy smattering of challenge, just most of it doesn't come from the platforming. That's not that the platforming is bad. Rayman is a joy to control with his energetic running, jumping, and rolling animations. A lot of work was put into making him look as fluid as he feels. Just watch as I slowly tilt the analog stick. He goes from a slow walk to a leisurely stroll to a brisk jog to full bore running. 4 separate animations. He front flips in the air, parkour rolls when landing, does the shuffling animation when strafing. Everything comes together to make this Rayman one of the most satisfying to control 3D platformer pro tags. However, the devs went a little bit too far and gave him the helicopter hair right off the bat instead of saving it as an ability for later, which was desperately needed since he only unlocks 3 abilities throughout the game: shooting, swinging, and better shooting. Infinite flight doesn't count, he gets that punched out of him after like 10 minutes. The problem is the hover glide takes all the peril out of every jump. There's nothing stopping you from gliding and carefully positioning yourself over your destination. I take that back, there is something stopping you, and that is, it's fucking boring. I mean, for Christ's sake, you even get a ledge hang. How much easier could they have made this platforming? The game feels great when you're deftly hopping from platform to platform, but playing like that is essentially speedrunning. It's making your own challenge for the sake of keeping the neurons firing in your brain. Why do you think Super Mario Sunshine added those levels where FLUDD gets taken away? It was to remind players what Mario actually feels like to play without FLUDD as a crutch. Rayman 2 does kinda do the same thing by having a bonus level where you have to reach the goal on a timer while also collecting lumps. Here you have no choice but to commit to your jumps without relying on the hover too much, and it works beautifully. There's also a couple sequences where you're under fire from the pirates and need to hustle over rickety bridges. These levels are a much needed dose of excitement that I wish the game did a little more often. So if the difficulty doesn't come from the platforming, where does it come from? 4 words: alternative modes of play. Indubitably. Whenever the devs think you've been running around long enough and could use some variety, they'll introduce a new mechanic, like sliding Mario 64 style, riding sentient ordnance, steering a mobility chair through obstacles, hovering through a temple choked with pulsating thorns that, just get them off the screen, or even taking the helm of a giant pirate ship and maneuvering it through tight canyons in order to rescue the fruits of Glowbox's loins.
What is he, a Mormon?
According to Google, Glowbox and his wife Uglette have over 650 children. I think I just realized who Rayman was singing Sex Bomb for. Rayman 2 seems like a fairly simple game, but there is some frustration that comes from Ubisoft's failure to make clear to the player what it is they need to do in some situations. I believe Aaron Hansen called it bad conveyance. For example, for the first few times you ride a shell, all you can do is speed up or jump off. I say again, the jump button makes you jump off. This is so you can use it to open blocked doors. Well, later in the lava temple, there's a section where you ride another shell, and I couldn't seem to get through it. I tried over and over at this one spot, hitting it at different angles, using the speed boost. Nothing seemed to work. Well, guess what? Now pressing the jump button makes the shell jump with you. Are you kidding me, Ubisoft? You can't just change the rules like that and not tell me. I felt like a stupid asshole for 15 minutes all because you couldn't be bothered to say, hey, we changed the controls for shell riding out of nowhere. There's another section where you're supposed to grab an explosive keg and walk into a torch that I thought was just decoration. Fun section, but for me it was another case of I don't know what the f to do. I would have been spared a lot of grief if they had just put an arrow or something over the torch. Something that exists at other incredibly obvious parts of the game. Now you might say, well, that's what you get for emulating instead of buying physical and not reading the instruction book. Bullshit. There are in-game tutorials all over the place. They could have put one here. Just bring out Murphy to whisper more sweet nothings into my ear. I swear, this game treats poorly conveyed mechanics like there's some kind of meta puzzle. There's a dumb gag about hiding in a bush to get past a security camera, and there I was doing my best Helen Keller impression for 10 minutes until I threw up my hands and just Googled it. Go ahead, call me a nitwit in the comments, but I'll bet a bunch of you who played this had the same problem at least once. Finding every cage and lum in a stage gives you a bonus level at the end. You're supposed to mash the crap out of A and B to race a pirate to a ferry.
Don't even think about using auto fire, or I'll know.
But instead of telling me how to play, the game thought it prudent to inform me that a pretty little fairy has gifts for me. When I eventually figured out what to do, it was already too late. But no problem, the game has the decency to let you try again. For nothing. Nothing. The fairy doesn't come back. You get to tire yourself out mashing like an idiot for nothing. Good day, sir. What f***ing face cock gobbler is responsible? Because if you're watching this, I have just one thing to say to you. I don't much care for it. Now, the good news is these are issues that only a first-timer might have trouble with. I get a lot of comments saying stuff like, golly, I gotta try this game now. You guys can consider yourselves inoculated from such annoyances. I know I came off kind of strong there, but this really is a remarkable game. I love it. I don't like it as much as Origins, but it does have a sense of atmosphere and charm that's all its own. Not that it doesn't bring back some ideas from the first game. Mosquito is back as fauna that will hover around you and bolt if you shoot. Mushrooms will hop around and stack on top of each other before tumbling over. You even still bust the teeth out of piranhas. I especially like how charging your fist will darken the screen around Rayman. It really sells that you're gathering energy for a strong attack. Man, nobody does it quite like Rayman. Yay! Wait, what the hell was that? Yay! Dude, I just did something that I've done 1,000,000 times already. People generally don't celebrate that.
Let's go!
How about the sound design? Every level is a symphony of pleasing sound effects and dynamic music. Yeah, this is the kind of game where the OST looks like this. Lots of segmented portions that can make it a bit of a pain to try listening to outside of the game. Take the Sanctuary of Water and Ice. It starts with this slow, laid-back beat. But as you get closer to unlocking the door to the boss, it slowly ramps up into this really positive and catchy tune to encourage you forward. In reality, you're just moving a couple barrels and orbs around. Not very engaging. In fact, I would call it downright boring. But the theme's steady evolution gives this segment so much personality that I don't even care that the task is mindless. It's kind of magical, really. I actually listened to a YouTube mix of this on loop once while I was cooking dinner. It's amazing how such a short loop didn't get old. The Menhir Hills does the same kind of thing, getting downright funky as the steady rise and fall of the piano perfectly captures the rhythm of mad dashing through dangerous terrain on a dangerous steed. Great stuff. The Pirates theme, whenever they would show up for a quick duel, always reminded me of the Sligs from Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. Harsh and metallic with just a hint of funk. The little dance that Rayman does at the end of a level? Who thought that up? It's so random and I love it. You know how some games will give you a little jingle to let you know when you've completed a puzzle or unlocked a door? Well, Rayman 2 has a good one. That is the most whimsical thing I have ever heard. Makes me wanna... Rayman 2 is an experience that leaves an impression, but you can't deny it does have that slight hint of jank and some cut corners. Like the transition into the Cave of Bad Dreams just looks a mess. The spirals in Rayman's eyes are off center, and here he is, falling into a level transition tile. I already mentioned how it's clear that this level takes place in Rayman's mind, so this transition never really made much sense. This one scene with the teensies gets copy-pasted like 4 times, and every time you can hear Rayman say something at the end, but nothing shows up in the caption bar. What the hell? The mask temples are all over the place. The first one just makes you slide for a bit and then fight an easy boss. And then the lava theme temple is the longest endurance in the game but has no boss, which is odd since the third temple is also lava themed and has a palette swapped fire version of the ice boss from earlier. I guess the team realized they shot themselves in the foot by having 2 primarily fire-based temples. As for the fourth temple, there isn't one. You'll get the third mask, blink, and suddenly the fourth one is being handed to you by the results of Glowbox's unending lust of the gods. And the whole thing about needing Polycus to help fight the pirates, you don't even get to see him do anything. He presumably takes out all the grounded pirates off screen, leaving the mothership to you. This makes the whole thing about collecting 4 masks just feel like a video game contrivance. Like the talismans in Spyro 2, those don't do diddly squat to help you beat Ripto. Once this happened on a running shell segment, and there was the time I got telefragged by a pirate, like this was Unreal Tournament or something.
You have lost the match.
There's another part where you gotta hit 2 switches in what I assume is a Hadron Collider, but the camera is situated so that you have to wing it on your shots until you get lucky. And just for good measure, there's a frickin' laser beam to make you do it again if you get sloppy. I would never. Scarcely do I hear a negative word spoken about Rayman 2. It seems like anybody who played it remembers it fondly, which I think is a testament to just how well everything comes together, despite the missteps. There are plenty of amazing games that have those parts you'd rather skip. V in Devil May Cry 5, Persona 4's 3-hour-long intro, the brain-dead easy levels in Plants vs. Zombies, this boss in Hydro City. You are a nut if you don't think this boss is a pain in the ass. Look, there's no perfect game, alright? Except for Batman Arkham Asylum. Everything else that falls just short of perfection, we all come back to later in life and just shake our heads or roll our eyes at the weak points. Rayman 2 is like chunky peanut butter when you prefer smooth. It's still delicious, with pieces that are easily tolerated. I'll give it this, Rayman 2 is a hell of a lot more playable than the first game. But is it better than the third, Hoodlum Havoc? I don't know, I never tried it. Give me a comment if you'd like me to talk about it in a video. Also, check out my vids on Origins and Legends. One is like my favorite game, and the other isn't. Please leave a like if you like my style, and I'll see you next time.